Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Appreciate you jumping on. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. We have got a ton of news out there in the world of crypto and the new financial system. Stay tuned for some great videos. Let's take a look at pricing first. Bitcoin sitting at 62,430, up 2.62%. So definitely a roller coaster ride with Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies here over the last week or so. Ethereum sitting at 2,428, up over 3%. Solana sitting at 143, up 5%. And XRP at the number 7 spot, sitting at 53 cents, up almost 2% in the last 24 hours. Let's jump into some news and let's dive into a Cypress Demonicor video and posting here. He says, all crypto investors must watch. Now is the time to panic. Is not the time to panic, excuse me. Now is the time to educate and situate yourself for life-changing wealth. Let's take a listen to his clip here with CTO, I believe, of Ripple, David Schwartz. Take a listen.
We're still the only one, right? And I think it's because from day one, we understood it's going to be a hard problem, and we understood there's going to be like eventually trillions of dollars at stake, right? And
so Cypress X there, just a brief intro with David Schwartz. I'm going to give you some more on him here shortly. That's a longer video than I expected it to be. So let's jump down to here with XRP drops and a little history with Monica Long from Ripple and her relationship with Chris Larsen. Take a listen.
People were at the company then. I think roughly 10. We should have asked, I should have consulted David before coming up here. I think it was roughly 10, mostly engineers. I knew Chris Larsen, who co-founded the company. He was CEO then. He's now our executive chairman of the board. I had worked for him when he was the CEO of Prosper years ago. Prosper was this really exciting, innovative, peer-to-peer lending platform. And so I really enjoyed my time working for Chris then, saw him as a real visionary and also someone who had a real mission to democratize finance. That's a through line in his career. E-loan first in the 90s to bring mortgage lending online, and then Prosper, and then Ripple. So I was just catching up with him. It was just an innocent catch-up meeting, I think in August or something of 2013. But when he started to talk about what was happening with first Bitcoin and then the XRP ledger and what we were doing at Ripple, he was on fire. He was so excited about what the opportunities were. And it was more than just a business opportunity to him. It was like, this is the most important invention in finance in more than 50 years. So I really bought into his excitement and his vision, and haven't looked back since. We're still working on it.
So very cool there from XRP drops. And that was, incidentally, that was the first time Monica Long and Brad Garlinghouse were on stage together since they've been at Ripple. So pretty interesting. Let's drop down here to Predator. First time I'm using one of his posts, but he says official IMF, International Monetary Fund, press conference. The IMF wants El Salvador to limit the public sector exposure to Bitcoin. Now, why would they want that? These folks want control. It's unfortunate. I don't think the president of El Salvador, from what I've seen, is going to listen to this. But let's take a listen to this video around the IMF and Bitcoin.
So on El Salvador, IMF staff have an ongoing engagement with the Salvadorian authorities, and the objective is to reach agreement on a new IMF-supported program that would help with the macroeconomic stabilization and adjustment, and also growth-enhancing reforms. Ongoing discussions are focused on policies to strengthen reforms that can be used to boost productivity and economic governance. Addressing risks arising from Bitcoin is a key element of these discussions. And of course, the goal is for the fund to be in a position to support a credible and well-sequenced policy package that is designed by the authorities. With respect to the details on Bitcoin, what we have recommended is a narrowing of the scope of the Bitcoin law, strengthening the regulatory framework and oversight of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and limiting the public sector exposure to Bitcoin.
So again, why are they making recommendations to El Salvador? I mean, it's just amazes me how these people just want control. Let El Salvador do what they want to do, and they can figure it out on their own. If it backfires, so be it. But I'm not sure why these people think they're in charge of every country like this. Moving on, Smoke Dog here posts Swift explaining why the transaction for the transaction manager. Listen, so Swift is slowly moving into the digital space, blockchain, tokenization, and listen to this 2-minute and 34-second video describing their transaction manager and the need for it.
Yeah, there's not much left. I am actually a big fan of the transaction management platform, not only because of the potential which it's going to bring to us long term, but in fact, more importantly, we need the transaction manager. So transaction manager is going to be absolutely vital to the wider industry in the end-to-end transaction orchestration to ensure transparency and immutability of the data with the start of the migration to ISO 20 or 22. So let's be honest, it is us, the industry, we need the transaction manager to enable the interoperability amongst our 11,000 SWIFT banks by bridging the different formats and channels which are supported during the coexistence period, so namely the FIN-MT and ISO 20 or 22 messages. And the transaction manager, while I'm insisting so much, will eliminate a most critical pain point, which is the data truncation in the so-called weakest link in a payment chain. So to share a sample, a rich payment may become subject to data truncation if one of the intermediary agent is not ISO ready yet, but forwards a small empty message. The transaction manager will now have the data, intelligence, and also the authority, which we are giving with the definition of the rules Joanne just mentioned, to enrich the message at the center prior to forwarding it to the next actor. And yes, we should not underestimate the transaction manager as a powerful catalyst for innovation. It will provide the opportunity to build new services for clients with rich end-to-end transaction data as a base without dependency on the entire SWIFT community to move at the same pace. Take SWIFT GPI, one of the most successful innovations on initiatives in the SWIFT ecosystem, covering 11,000 banks, but also, all payments processed via high-value payment market infrastructure. And we all, the entire industry, acknowledged at the time that this is absolutely needed, and still it took us 4 years from the idea to the full reach. With Transaction Manager at the center, we can now expect innovations and the implementation of the same to accelerate significantly. So as you can see, I'm equally passionate about the Transaction Manager.
So Smoke Dog also posts here some more detail on this transaction manager, which I'll read some of this to you. It says Swift's new platform is the potential for integrating with a variety of networks, rails, and third parties, leveraging the rich ISO 20022 format and the transaction orchestration within the new platform to manage that interoperability. It says via a single central framework that provides transparency to manage that end-to-end experience regardless of settlement rail. They're saying they need this transaction manager. Argued that the transaction manager will be vital to the wider industry for end-to-end transaction orchestration to ensure transparency and immutability of data with the start of the migration of ISO 20022. Goes on to say we need the transaction manager to enable interoperability among Swift community by bringing the different formats and channels. It'll provide the opportunity to build new service for clients, and will arrive absolutely on time and as fast as possible. Obviously, there's probably other players behind that, like XRP, like Enbridge potentially. So we'll see. But great stuff there from
Yeah, there's
Smoke
not
Dog.
much left.
And I'm not going to play that again because you've already heard it. Let's move on to Mr. Mann. Mr. Mann here says, do not let this appeal, the SEC appeal he's referring to in the Ripple case, give you paper hands. The plan has always been the same. We do not know what XRP is. We know it's not a security. In defining what XRP is, Congress will need to step in. Bill HR 4451 will need to be passed, which stated that a digital asset is not part of the investment contract, but rather a new term should be created that states the asset is an investment contract asset. We arrived to the defining portion of the show. Hold tight. So good advice there from Mr. Mann. If you're holding XRP, be patient. If you're holding other digital assets, be patient. This is a space that's continuing to grow. It's growing quickly. But you got to be patient. Things behind closed doors take time. Countries, governments are trying to catch up. So be patient, do your own research. None of this is financial advice. But I appreciate you guys jumping on the channel. We're going to leave it there today. Hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel, and we'll see you on the flip side.